shot at me. So I felt like it was a little bit of jealousy.
No, I just didn't give enough. That's all.
Cool.
Just didn't give enough about it all.
Yeah, but when you said in the comments,
up,
you said something there. I think he's an attention seeker. So even with the racist comments, even with the homo stuff that he was doing, I think he's just a big attention seeker. He gonna do anything to get attention on him, and I think it's gonna backfire come January 31st.
Stylistically, he believes he's the best, and I know I'm the best, and that's why we're getting to this point now. He wants to challenge himself. I'm here for it. I'm here to challenge myself every time.
1. Shakur Stevenson and Teófimo López prepare for their highly anticipated January 31st showdown as the boxing world watches with intense interest. Elite discipline and masterful defense collide with explosive power, confidence, and aggression, making this confirmed matchup one of the most compelling and talked about fights of the year.
It's cool. He's supposed to feel that way. Like, he's supposed to say the things that he's saying. He's not saying nothing out of the ordinary or something that I didn't expect. Only thing that I kind of took away, he got on a podcast, I want to say, he said that I was slow. And that's the part where I'm like, okay. He's going to be very surprised come fight night to where it's like, you really thought I was slow? Like, is that something like you put in your brain and thought it was about to...
Fiery press conferences have already raised the stakes as Shakur Stevenson and Teófimo López come face-to-face, with Lopez's father inserting himself into the heated exchange. Shakur highlights what he believes are clear flaws in Teófimo's game, dismissing the southpaw debate and insisting that records mean little without elite competition. Lopez's father fires back, challenging Shakur's resume and demanding he prove himself on the sport's biggest stage. The confrontation escalates with sharp words, raised voices, and visible tension, adding personal drama and pressure ahead of the January 31st clash.
You know, a lot of people say it's going to be easy and all. Nah. Teófimo can punch, and he can box. And like I said, he's real athletic, so, you know what I mean? That'll make it a little difficult right there, you know what I mean?
I see a lot of people going back and forth with it. Some people think Teo got the advantage because of the weight and that he's athletic and explosive. Some people say Shakur is the better boxer.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
How you see that fight ending?
Well, they saying, you know, they got the weight and all that. I see Shakur boxing big guys, light heavyweights and all that stuff. Just like Boots, you know, they box heavyweights and put the heavyweights down. You know what I mean? I think that's the right move for him. You know what I mean? Get up, and I think he can really do good at that weight.
This isn't a stoppage.
I'm looking at a decision, not a stoppage. But then it all according how Teo come in. If Teo come at him, you know, he's gonna run into some shots. It might be over. You know what I mean?
Now, you always tell me it's the shot that you don't see coming.
That's it.
That power is speed.
Right.
So could it be a situation where people underestimate Shakur's punching power?
Yeah. I think Shakur can punch. You know what I mean? I think he can punch. It's just like I said, speed is power. You know, not them guys, you know, muscle-bound guys come in and they talk about.
Eddie Hearn has publicly praised Shakur Stevenson, calling him one of the most underrated talents in boxing today. Despite an outstanding amateur pedigree and an accomplished professional career, Hearn believes many fans and analysts still fail to fully appreciate Shakur's technical brilliance, speed, and ring IQ. He emphasizes that Stevenson's consistency, adaptability, and relentless drive separate him from his peers, suggesting the boxing world is only beginning to recognize just how special he truly is.
He's massively underrated in terms of his achievements and his ability. Everyone in boxing knows how good Shakur is. He is, pound for pound, top 5 in terms of quality. But look at the achievements of the young man. At 28 years of age, he's already a 3-division world champion. This is to become a 4-division world champion. Quite remarkable. And Teófimo always rises to the occasion. Sometimes you see a little bit of a lackluster performance when he's not motivated, when there isn't kind of any legacy on the line. This is different. This is a sold-out Madison Square Garden between two of the elite fighters of our generation. And the best thing about this fight is we're seeing...
Roy Jones Jr. offers a detailed breakdown of the matchup while speaking with Shakur Stevenson, emphasizing adaptability as the decisive factor. Roy explains that fighters who move well are often the hardest to deal with, as adjusting to movement presents the greatest challenge in the ring. Shakur responds by stating he plans to remain versatile, ready to box, angle, or stand his ground if necessary. Roy commends Shakur's flexibility in past performances and notes that these traits create elite-level matchups. He also warns that Teófimo can be extremely dangerous when focused and capable of making in-fight adjustments. According to Roy, mindset, preparation, and execution will ultimately determine the outcome, turning the fight into a high-level chess match if both men are fully locked in.
I think you have a masterful foot game as well. And I think that's probably what's going to be the hardest thing for him to adjust to. So how do you think he's going to adjust to that?
I don't want to give out too much.
Okay. All right.
Well, I mean, we all know he had problems with people that move around the ring. He wanted to stand in front of them, and he could pick them apart when you stand right there in front of him. But I plan on doing, I mean, I'm not going to say the game plan, but I plan on doing a little bit of both. I plan on moving around. I don't plan on just standing in front. I plan on doing everything that it takes to win.
And I do applaud the fact that you did, like Andre just said, you did show people that you are versatile. You can do whatever is necessary to win a fight. This is the best, in my opinion. These are the best type of fighters to see. And Teófimo has shown sometimes that he can also be versatile and he can do whatever is necessary. Just sometimes he seems to have mental issues.
Analysts have recently scrutinized the state of boxing, pointing out how promotional hype often fails to align with reality. A major criticism centers on highly anticipated cards, such as the February 2025 event that was marketed as historic but ultimately fell apart due to injuries and withdrawals. Shakur Stevenson was left facing an unfamiliar opponent as several marquee fights collapsed. This has sparked broader concerns about credibility in promotion and event marketing. Analysts also argue that DAZN and The Ring failed to properly promote Shakur's latest fight involving Teófimo López. Despite the technical skill on display, weak promotion and unclear messaging risk allowing even elite matchups to go unnoticed, exposing ongoing flaws in boxing's business model.
To do that and then not even promote the fight, this is a cool fight. I don't understand, like, to me, it's a bit bizarre because the fans came out and they were like, man, Turkey, he's taking over the game. Remember last year, about a year ago, in February of 2025, he had the card with Better Biev and Bivol and whoever else was on it. And the card was announced and people said, this is the best card that we've ever seen in boxing history. Then the fight card came. Shakur's opponent pulled out, Floyd Schofield. Daniel Dubois pulled out of the fight, right? Because he was sick. And it wasn't this legendary card that people talked about. You know what I mean? And people, now no one even says that now. Before they were talking about like, oh, it's the best card boxing's ever seen. And then the card happened and it kind of just came and went. It wasn't the card that they said it was finna be. Put it that way. So that's the point I'm making in this video is like a lot of the preconceived notions that you guys put out, not Boxing Ego. I ain't put that out on my channel, right? But a lot of the stuff y'all said turned out to be cap. Here's the card in question, bro. They're like, this is the best card we've ever seen. And then half of the fights, two of the top three fights didn't even go off as planned because of injuries and sicknesses and pullout. And Shakur ended up fighting an electrician that no one ever heard of except for UK blokes.
6. Floyd Schofield delivered a provocative message aimed at Shakur Stevenson, questioning the legitimacy of some of the hype surrounding him and other top fighters. Schofield criticized the culture of fantasy matchups, noting that neither Tank Davis nor Shakur has consistently faced the top 4 opponents of their era despite years of fan demand. He stressed that physique and body type have little to do with success, pushing back against superficial evaluations. Schofield expressed hope that Shakur takes on meaningful challenges, such as facing Khan, before moving up in weight. His comments called for accountability, emphasizing that records and hype alone do not define a fighter's legacy. Only real competition does.
Shakur haven't fought none of the top 4 of his era for the last, how many years they've been calling for them fight these dudes not fighting like that. So that's fantasy fights, thinking, oh, Keyshawn gonna go all the way up and fight Devin. And man, that's fantasy stuff. That's all that stuff is. And
you even said that he was like cut up and shit, you know what I mean, on that, what you said, snack?
No, I said I said I respect. Oh, do you mean a thick? What you talking about?
Keisha.
Yeah, Keyshawn got stocky. He got stocky, but he got stockiness don't mean nothing. Stockiness don't mean, I hope we get to fight Keyshawn before he go to 147. 140, Keyshawn would be a good fight for Kid. I think Keyshawn.
Is that why you upset?
Huh?
Is that why you upset because he's leaving?
I'm never upset. I'm not upset telling the truth about these guys leaving and running. I said it years ago what was going to happen. People told me I was lying. Oh, y'all capping. Y'all ain't going to fight Keyshawn. I said, Keyshawn ain't fighting us. I said, Shakur ain't fighting us. Yeah, we lined up for Shakur. We didn't pull out. It's a fact. Why won't we get the fight when he got out the hospital? It wasn't his fault. He trained hard. He did everything else. Somebody tried to kill him. And the toxicology showed that. Why wasn't a real champion want to give this young man a fight who really stepped up to the plate to fight him and went through all this adversity to make it there, and somebody poisoned him? He deserved a shot to fight. But that wasn't like that there. And it's for a reason. So, I found out this shit is just smoke and mirrors, man. Has nothing to do with boxing. Has a lot to do with the money made behind the scenes. Yeah. So I know Shakur better step it up or that's boring for boxing. So they're not going to keep him. Even if he win, if that fight continues.
Analysts AK and Barack break down the upcoming Stevenson-Lopez clash by contrasting their paths and mentalities. Shakur is portrayed as relentlessly driven, shaped by elite amateur experience, and fueled by a desire for pound-for-pound recognition and a permanent place among boxing's all-time greats. Teófimo, while immensely talented, has endured personal struggles and periods of wavering motivation that once pushed him toward stepping away from the sport. Analysts suggest these challenges could either sharpen his resolve or expose vulnerabilities against a laser-focused fighter like Shakur. They highlight Shakur's consistency, competitive edge, and years of elite training, including sparring with champions like Terence Crawford, as key advantages. Meanwhile, Teófimo's renewed passion and strong recent performances signal he is fully engaged once again, setting the stage for a high-stakes, unpredictable, and potentially explosive showdown.
He's a kid that has always wanted to be considered the best in the sport. From the amateurs till now, he wants to be pound-for-pound top dog. He wants to be on Mount Rushmore, so on and so forth. Teófimo, I feel that he's had that passion, right? But he's had lapses to at times where he thought about even quote unquote retired and said he was done with this game. He's had, sometimes, at times issues with his father that, they've been able to reconcile and move on, but kind of lost some passion for the sport because of the way he was treated. Now, I don't know if that helps you because it creates this chip on your shoulder as a fighter to keep continuing to prove the world wrong that you are one of the best, or if it psychologically affects you against a guy like Shakur.
Yeah, I think a guy when you go against a guy like Shakur reminds me of Bud Crawford. You can't have those lapses. You can't have that kind of mindset. And I think, Teal's been very vocal about the things that he struggled with. And, he was going through a divorce and all of these things were making it really, really hard for him to focus on his first love. But that's the thing. Recently, he said he came back to his first love. He remembers that this is what got him everything he has. And he's back in love with boxing. And that's what we've been wanting to hear. And when we see a T.O. like that, he's sharp against Josh Taylor. When we see a T.O. like that, he's sharp against Lomachenko and also willing to fight all these guys. Now think about this. I know we call big, heavy punches the boogeyman, but usually the boogeyman is the guy that's hard to beat. And Shakur